Hello everyone, and welcome back to Trading
Добро
Secrets.
пожаловать на Trading Secrets. Сегодня мы поговорим об индийско-российских
What
торговых
was that?
отношениях.
Anyway, let's start that again. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Trading Secrets. This week,
Сегодня мы поговорим об индийско-российских торговых отношениях.
why fight it? This week, we will be talking about Indo-Russian relations throughout history. While no part of me is actually Russian, I feel like I grew up with Russia as a small part of me. That voice in the beginning was none other than my mom's, a fluent Russian speaker and teacher who went to Russia as an exchange student back in 1994. I was not but 2 when all of this happened, and I feel like I must have learned how to say dhanyavad, thank you, and spasiba at the same time. I grew up with matryoshka dolls and fighting with my sister over this very scarf. My mother's experience as an exchange student was so thrilling for me that it's no wonder that one day I desired a similar experience for myself. Through her tales of Russia, I grew fond of its history, and super accurate movies and TV shows like Anastasia and The Great keep me engaged. But beyond my connection to Russia through my mother's adventures, I wondered, is there any historical link between these two countries? Archaeologically speaking, there isn't much that can contribute here, except for an Iron Age Pazyryk burial called the Lady of Ukok. Frozen in time, the contents of this burial are beautifully preserved, and the traces of silk found here were initially thought to be of Chinese origin. But recent studies suggest that maybe the silk came from India. This was the only archaeological site that I could find that fell under modern-day Russian political borders. There are a few sites that are now in former USSR nations, but I'll save those for later. Now, leaving the Iron Age, let's turn our clocks forward to the mid-1400s. My favorite road, the Silk Road, had already been running as a well-oiled machine for over a millennia. Ivan the Great, the young prince of Russia, wanted to expand Russia's trade and one by one started sending merchants to all the major markets of the known world. So far, not a single Russian had ever been to India, and a young chap called Afanasy Nikitin of Tver volunteered to journey there. Braving the desert that lay on the way and the imminent threat of the Tatars, Nikitin did manage to arrive at Khambat in Gujarat and then headed over to Chaul in Maharashtra. Trading his thoroughbred horse, Nikitin made enough money to fund his 3-year exploration through the kingdom of the Bahmani Sultanate of Deccan. His travelogue called The Journey Beyond Three Seas provided vivid descriptions of the Indian lifestyle, the food, the religion, the castes or the varnas that he observed, the militaries, politics, and infrastructure. He also wrote about how he stood out as a tall white guy, and he may have received special hospitality because of that. He sounds like your average Western backpacker just blogging his journey through Asia. Nikitin's expedition to India established a nearly 500-year-old relationship with Russia, which I had absolutely no clue about. When I was researching this topic, I asked my mom what she knew about Indo-Russian history, and the first thing she said to me was, Afanasy Nikitin. Students of the Russian language know all about this fellow. And yet, none of our history textbooks have ever mentioned him. Probably because nothing ever really came out of his visit. Sure, it told the stories of India to Russia, but no actual trade was established. But the Russians were desperate to trade with the land of the plenty, and from 1646 till 1695, they tried one route after the other to get to the Indian subcontinent, but to no avail. The emissaries were stopped by pirates, the Persians, the Germans, and the Mughals. Aurangzeb entertained a Russian diplomat called Simeon Malenkiy in his court, but was super unimpressed by what the Russians had to offer. However, finally, access was granted to the Russians to trade with India. And in the 18th century, Indian merchants were also granted access to set up shop in Russia. Astrakhan, a port city along the Caspian Sea, eventually became home to an Indian community of nearly 400 people. The traders were timely taxpayers and greatly favored by Peter the Great. They enjoyed freedom to trade in St. Petersburg, Moscow, Nizhny Novgorod, and every other major city. From the 18th century till the 1920s, this community maintained pretty good relations with the Tsars, and trade was steady until the communist October Revolution plummeted trade and brought in political instability. In the 19th century, in the search of control over a warm seaport, Russia began expanding its empire into Central Asia, and at the same time, Britain was boasting its strong foothold over India and the maritime trade that connected it to the rest of the world. Amidst this show of supremacy, the British started suspecting the Russians to try and snatch Britain's crown jewel, India. But when Russia began showing interest in Afghanistan, the British prepared to retaliate. Both saw Afghanistan as a gateway to India and thus commenced the Great Game, a proxy war between two big empires. I honestly cannot claim to understand all of it perfectly, but the Central Asian Khanates and Afghanistan in particular all became playgrounds for the big Russian bears and the British lions. This one-upmanship condemned Afghanistan to be host to centuries of Anglo-Russian and Anglo-Afghan wars, all because the British suspected the Russians of wanting control over India. And over the years, the conflict has changed its face, but the turmoil and the political instability continues till date. Towards the end of the British Raj, the now USSR geared up to be pretty good friends with the newly independent country of India, and as a budding socialist country, Indo-Soviet relations took off quite well. Russian was encouraged as a foreign language for Indians to learn, and they even made a movie starring Nargis about Afanasy Nikitin's journey through India. And along with Nargis, Raj Kapoor became a massive star in Soviet Russia. Massive. Trade with Russia never amounted to much pre-20th century, because the Russians never really had anything to offer that the Indians wanted. However, post-Indian independence, Russia had exactly what India needed: military equipment. And so began a different chapter in Indo-Russian trade relations. In the present day, the Russian influence isn't as overt as it used to be, with both countries having undergone major economic transitions in 1991. Their one-on-one relationship has declined. Lately, the only exposure that Indians of perhaps my generation have to Russia is through American media. But of course, the relations with Russia didn't just cease to exist. Today, Russia invites thousands of budding Indian doctors to study medicine in Russia. And when I was growing up, Nikita was a very, very popular name among girls. Perhaps Nikita Khrushchev had something to do with it. But that would be weird. He was a man. If anyone of you knows why Nikita became such a popular name among girls, please let me know in the comments below. And let's not forget, both of these countries are facing a massive surge in nationalism, with both their leaders being practically best friends with each other and having total disregard for human rights or freedom of speech. So that was Indo-Russian relations in a nutshell. It is, of course, a lot more nuanced than that. But then we would be here for hours. If you enjoyed this video, do let me know in the comments below. And as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Spasiba and до свидания.